Along its path through the Po Valley, the Po River, the longest of the Italian rivers, goes through a changing landscape, marked by the rhythm of the seasons. In autumn, the river flows surrounded by warm colors. The yellow of the leaves mixes with the brown of the countryside, creating images of rare suggestion. At the beginning of winter, the landscape is transformed. The morning mist and fog create the atmosphere typical of the Po Valley territory. With spring comes a new vitality. In summer, the surrounding countryside becomes lush with new colors. The Po River and its changing landscape serve as the common thread of a route between villages and churches along the last 25 kilometers that the river covers in the Mantua area. The first town on our journey is Benizzo, a small village nestled against the riverbank. The small church of neoclassical tendency is mentioned for the first time at the beginning of the 16th century. The rectangular floor plan is made of 3 naves, with large arches. The most important artwork is the altarpiece depicting the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin. In the right nave is the valuable 17th century painting The Flight into Egypt. Two kilometers from Bonizzo, still close to the Great River, we find Borgo Franco sul Po. The church was built close to the Po embankment in the early 1600s. The church has a nave and 2 side aisles separated by wide pillars. A valuable oil on canvas altarpiece from the early 18th century is located above the high altar. There are numerous other valuable works of art inside the church. Bordering Borgo Franco, we find Carbonara Po. The church is mentioned in archival documents as early as 1479. Today the church has 3 naves, with vaulted stone ceilings. The present high altar was placed in 1871. Noteworthy is the 16th century altarpiece. The organ by Luigi Montessanti dates from 1804. Carbonara is a peripheral village of Carbonara Po. The church is a unique construction located close to the Po River. It features a central elliptical plan. The most valuable work is the altarpiece painted in 1648. The 17th century wooden frame of the right altar is of high value too. The land reclamation plants, built in the early 1900s, lead to the founding of the town of Mollia. The parish church was built between 1934 and 1935. Inside 2 naves, the central one ends in an apse characterized by 8 deep niches. On either side of the chancel are 2 large tempera paintings with Marian subjects made in 1943 by Elena Schiavi. In the hinterland of the municipality of Cermede and Follonica, A few kilometers from the Po, you can travel along the country roads among villages, where agriculture of high quality is practiced. The church in Mantuan was designed in 1963. A modern temple, bright and evocative, a 20th century tribute to an ancient land. The interior space is imposing with a strong rectangular mass, almost like a medieval fortress, softened by the light entering from the side slits. To the south of the village of the same name, rises the Church of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, whose origins date back to the end of the 15th century. The frescoes in the apse tell the legend of the pilgrim John Cuoco. The various frescoes in the presbytery can be traced back to the same period. In the weekday chapel the Deposition, a high relief dating back to the late 15th century has been preserved. In the center of the small village of Po Riviera is the chapel of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Lourdes. A large altarpiece, with a strong visual impact, has been placed in the chapel. It is work by Enrico Bresciani, representing the Ascension of Jesus. The painting of the Annunciation is also by the same author. Cermede, nestled on the right bank of the river, is the largest town on this itinerary along the Po. The parish church, dedicated to the Saints Peter and Paul Apostles, was built from 1865 to 1871. The style is Neo-Romanico, giving a majestic look to the temple. The church has 3 naves. The floor is in pink Verona marble. The walls keep the original polychrome bands like those of the facade. There are numerous altars, with mural paintings and statues, located in the side naves and apses. Two paintings of great value have recently been returned to the church. On the right wall, a painting of San Sebastiano from 1400, attributed to Giovanni Bellini. In the left nave, the Assumption of the Virgin Mary by Giuseppe Bazzani, considered the greatest Mantuan artist of the 18th century. In the painting, the figure of the Madonna is represented with great physicality. The counter-facade of the imposing church is characterized by the central portal and the rose window above it. Near the parish church, almost adjacent to the banks of the Po, is the church dedicated to Saint Joseph and known as of the Cappuccini, what remains of an ancient convent from 1650. The interior hall is rectangular. An important work is the gilded wooden tabernacle of the high altar. Another notable work is the large 17th century wooden frame around the painting of the Holy Family. The altars and the works on the side walls are also of artistic value. Above the entrance door stands a wooden choir. Capasotto is one of the oldest settlements of the municipality of Cermeda. The small church with a gabled roof dates back to 1575. The interior is simple, structured as a single nave. Above the altar is a 16th century oil painting depicting the Madonna with the patron saint Saint John. To the left, we find the statue of the Madonna del Po. The history of the town of Follonica, close to the right bank of the Po, is strongly linked to its 11th century church, dedicated to the Assumption of Mary. The interior has seen many works of conservation and restoration. The church has a single nave that ends with a deep apse. There are numerous 16th century frescoes of artistic value along the walls of the church. The back wall is characterized by a loggia choir formed by 6 arches, which open towards the inside of the church. Still in the territory of Follonica, in the Bastione area, we find the oratory of the Madonna della Nave. The chapel is one of the buildings linked to the cult of the Madonna della Nave and to the Roman Basilica of Santa Maria ad Nevis. In the far eastern edge of the province of Mantua, we find Quattrell, the last location on this itinerary along the Po River. The parish church, dedicated to the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary, is an imposing building from the late 1700s, which dominates the small village. The church has an octagonal plan, an unusual structure in the area. The facade, on the other hand, is in the traditional neoclassical style. Inside, the central space looks over a deep presbytery, ending with an apse which houses the current high altar and the old wooden choir. On the side walls are chapels that house altars embellished with important tabernacles, and niches with painted wooden statues of saints and of the Redeemer. Above the portal is the choir, with an ancient organ. In this extreme eastern edge of Lombardy, on the border with Veneto and Emilia-Romagna, a land of ancient customs, the itinerary to discover the Mantuan churches of the Riviera del Po ends.